My twin brother tricked my wife into sleeping with him. It's the kind of stuff that you'd only expect to see in a budget soap opera, but apparently, reality doesn't have the same budget constraints as daytime television. My name's Terry, and my twin brother Joseph just punked me on a whole new level, a level so high that it makes Mount Everest look like a speed bump in comparison. So, it started just like any other day. I kissed my wife, Emma, goodbye before heading out to work at the local auto repair shop. Now, just to clarify, I'm not living some secret agent life. I'm just a guy who gets his hands dirty for a living, wrenching on other people's crap heaps all day. On this fateful day, unbeknownst to me, Joseph had an unscrupulous plan brewing. He knew my routine down to the last detail, like some kind of stalker. He knew that I left for work at 7 a.m. sharp, and that I never locked my doors because, well, I live in what I thought was a decent neighborhood. I guess I never considered the fact that the biggest threat might just come from my own bloodline. Now Joseph and I were identical twins, so much so that our own mother used to mix us up when we were kids. But there was always one surefire way to tell us apart. I wore a workman's uniform stained with years of grease and grime, and Joseph wore a clean-cut business suit for his cushy desk job. But that day, Joseph decided to play dress up. He swung by my place right after I left for work, dressed head to toe in the exact same grease-smeared getup that I wear. Emma, my sweet, unsuspecting wife, was surprised to see me, or who she thought was me, back from work early. "Terry, why are you home so early?" she asked, taken aback. "Had an easy day, babe. Finished all the jobs quickly," Joseph replied, wearing my voice like it was a costume. Fast forward to later that afternoon, I returned home, expecting a regular day, maybe a cold beer and some leftovers. What I didn't expect to find was my brother, my wife, and a scene that would have made even Jerry Springer say, "Hey, that's a bit much." The image of them together is seared into my brain. I can't unsee it, can't unfeel it. It's like getting a tattoo of betrayal right on my retina. Emma immediately began shrieking like a banshee the second she saw me. "Terry, it's not what it looks like." Yeah, right. A giant octopus wearing a tutu in my kitchen would have been easier to explain than that sight. Joseph didn't say a word. His head was hung low, like a naughty puppy who just shit on the living room carpet. The only difference was that this mess couldn't be cleaned up with a paper towel and some elbow grease. Rage surged through me, red and hot, like the molten core of a pissed-off volcano. Without thinking, I charged at Joseph, my fist colliding with his face. I'm not a violent man, but there's a limit to everything. "Get the hell out of my house," I roared, my voice echoing off the walls. Joseph scrambled up, still silent, and left without a word. Poor Emma, was a mess, crying hysterically and repeating the same lines over and over. "I thought it was you, Terry. I swear I thought it was you." But the damage had been done. The reality was twisted into a gnarled mess of deception and betrayal, a surreal nightmare that no amount of pinching could wake me from. I found myself looking at Emma, really looking at her, and she seemed smaller somehow. Her entire world had also been rocked, shattered into a million pieces. The man she'd loved and trusted had not only betrayed her, but had used his own twin to do it. The pain etched on her face was a mirror of my own. Joseph, that bastard, had always been the charmer, the smooth talker. I should have seen it coming. Maybe I could have prevented it. But the cold, hard truth was that I hadn't. I was too wrapped up in my own world, blind to the machinations of my own flesh and blood. The following days were a blur of arguments, accusations, and tear-soaked apologies. Emma was shattered, and I was fueled by a toxic cocktail of anger and guilt. I blamed myself, blamed Joseph, blamed the universe for dealing me this shitty hand. Meanwhile, Joseph disappeared. He wouldn't answer my calls. His office hadn't seen him in days, and his apartment was as empty as the promises he'd made. It was like he had vanished off the face of the earth, a magician's trick that left me with a rabbit hole of pain. Emma and I, we tried to pick up the pieces, to salvage whatever was left of our life together. It was slow going, like walking through a field of glass. We attended counseling, and the sessions were like a lifeline, giving us the tools we needed to navigate the fallout. As for Joseph, we haven't seen him for months, but I didn't need to. His ghost lingered in every corner, a reminder of the betrayal. But with time, the pain became less raw, less immediate, like a wound starting to scab over. So there it is, the story of how my twin brother tricked my wife into sleeping with him. It's a wild ride, a roller coaster of emotions, and a stark reminder that even those closest to us can cause the deepest pain. Life is funny that way, full of twists and turns, and often, the hardest lessons are the ones we never see coming. Christ almighty, does anyone respect boundaries or other people's relationships these days? What do you think? What would you have done in this situation? Let us know in the comments section below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.